Hi, welcome back to my plot and the first video of 2025, and I've decided to go with going through what I'm planning to do this year. I've got a very rough plan that I've designed based on some drone footage. I'll insert a photo of what the plan looks like, but I'm just going to talk through what I'm hoping to do. So I've got the plan up on my phone and I'm just going to talk through kind of what I've got up here, so that's why I'm going to be looking down here. So this, originally I had my raspberry canes here for the past few years, but they've not done very well. So what I've decided to do is to keep this structure, but to have my blueberries in pots along here. And then I'm also going to add in some blackcurrant trees here. This obviously needs clearing out and pulling out and getting ready. I'm going to do that over the next couple of weeks, but that's what I'm going to do for that bit. I think I also might have a few hanging baskets off here of strawberries and just see how they do, because I'll get into it with my other bed. But yeah, so let's go over here and see what I've got. So this is my Brassica netting that I've had. I've had this here for a couple of years again. I had my cabbages, my collies in here, but this year, well, in previous years, I've done things very kind of structured and regimented. So I've just had cabbages in here and cauliflowers, and then in that bed, I've just had onions. But this year, I'm going to really try and focus on doing a bit more permaculture. So having plants in that complement each other and see if that helps the soil and is a little bit more productive, because last year wasn't as productive as I'd hoped. So yeah, I'm going to try something a little bit new this year. So in this bed, I am going to stick with the Brassica theme. So I've got cabbages, Brussels sprouts, cauliflowers and onions going in here this year as well. It just makes sense, because otherwise I'd have to move the netting, so that's why I'm going to keep this. In this bed here that I've got covered up at the moment, I'm going to do tomatoes, my outdoor tomatoes. I think I should probably be able to get about at least 20 plants in here. It's been quite productive. I did this a couple of years ago with my tomatoes and this bed did really well. So that's what I'm going to do with here. I've got a bit of space just next to the polytunnel, and I'm going to have a few bulbs. I don't know of what yet, but some flower bulbs that are going to go in pots here just to make it look pretty. And then if you follow me over here, I've got some more raised beds. Really exciting for this bed this year. It's actually the first year that I should be able to get asparagus. So I've got 4 asparagus roots in here. I can't remember the variety because I planted them 2 years ago now. They have started coming up, which I'm really excited about, and they look like chunky boys. So I'm hoping this year will be the first year that I get asparagus, which I'm really excited about. This bed was a little bit of a fail because I had asparagus in here also. I bought a few roots reduced from a garden centre and they just didn't take. So I've got a bit of free space with this, and I've put my leeks, onions, lettuce, spinach, more tomatoes and nasturtiums in here this year. So it's going to be quite a packed bed. When I've looked it up, all of these seem to complement each other. So I think, yeah, hopefully they all just work together and grow very nicely. So before I move on to the other raised beds, I'm just going to touch on what I've got going on in the polytunnel this year. So this year I'm trying a few new different things that I've not done before. So in here I've got my aubergines, tomatoes, so like my cherry varieties of tomatoes that need a little bit more heat. I've got my chilies, cucumber and grapes this year, which I'm really excited about. So I think I'm going to put these directly into the raised beds and try and train them to grow up like almost like a dwarf variety, keeping them quite small but productive. We'll see how that goes. I'm not too sure how it'll work. And also I've got melons this year. I've got 4 raised beds in here. They're quite small, but they do enough. It's probably 6x4, this polytunnel, so it's actually quite sizable if I use this space wisely, which looking back on previous years I don't think that I have done. So I'm really hoping to maximise the small amount of space for the most productivity this year. So that's one of my challenges. So let's move on to some other raised beds. So in this bed, I've currently got my winter onions. They're looking a little bit sorry for themselves, but I'm hoping as the weather heats up, they'll pull through a little bit. And in this bed, I'm going to keep with the onion theme. So I'm going to have some more onions put in here, carrots and parsnips, because a few years ago when I originally built this bed and filled it, I did like a sand soil compost mix. So carrots usually do quite well in here because they like to grow straight in the sand. It helps. So yeah, apparently they all love each other, so that's what I'm going to do in this bed. So over into this section, I have a couple of trees. This is an apple tree. Again, I planted this now probably four or 5 years ago. I cannot remember the variety, but they're like a green and red apple. This does well. I'm happy with this being here. It produces a lot. I think last year or the year before last, I had about 20 to 30 apples on here. So for the size, it's very productive. However, this tree is going to be having its last kind of days because it's getting pulled down. It's a pear tree. It's not done very well. It's been in for probably 4 or 5 years, same as this apple tree, and not produced a piece of fruit yet. So that is going to come out and it's going to be moved to a different part of the allotment. So then in this bed in front of me, I'm going to use this as a salad and kale bed. This bed next door. So far I've got some thyme in here. I've also got some sage and rosemary. So I'm going to keep this as a herb bed. I don't know what else. I think I'll probably put some coriander in. I've got some chives that I'm sure will come up soon. So yeah, keeping this as a herb bed. This bed, I don't actually have any plans for this. I had snapdragons in here last year. They didn't do very well. So yeah, that's just free space. See what I've got left over. In this bed, I have rhubarb and onion. So I've got a rhubarb crown already in there. That's probably about, I'd say, 2 years old. It's not come through yet, which is slightly concerning, but hopefully it will. If not, I've just got onions and I'll have a bit of a rethink about what else will go in here. I've got sweet corn, cucumber, peas and beans in here. They're all meant to complement each other really well. So I'm thinking that the beans and the peas will grow up the sweet corn. So that's what's going on in this one. In this one, I've also got peas, sweet corn and lettuce. So similar theme, beans and peas all growing up the sweet corn again. And just the lettuce is a little bit of a salad crop. I've got in here my garlic, which will come up in about late June. And then after that, I'm going to have my melons in here. I'm also going to try something new with this bed, going into this bed. So I'm hoping to have a few squash hoops as well, which I'm really excited about. So in this bed as well, there'll also be squash, and I'll also try and grow melon up the hoop as well. So that's kind of going to be like that. In this bed, I have my very sorry looking strawberries. Last year, I had hardly any strawberries from this. So, well, to be fair to the plants, they're probably about 3 or 4 years old now. So I'm going to go to the garden centre and get a lot more, whack them in. And hopefully I'll have strawberries again this year, because I was very disappointed last year when I didn't have any. Bed. Again, I'm going to have hoops here. I've already got the frames. So I'm going to have tomatoes that climb on these ones. Very excited to see how that works. And then in this bed, I'm going to have my onions, radishes, leeks and celery as well. So I've already got leeks in here that were planted, gosh, I can't remember, probably June last year. I've had quite a lot of them out of there now. There's still a few small ones to go. But yeah, going to have tomatoes down the edges, growing up the hoops into the strawberry beds, and then a range of different kind of salads and onions and celeries. So let's go over to this bed and see what we've got. So in here, I've already got my winter garlic. This is full. I couldn't even put a number on how many I've got. I've probably got upward of 40 garlic plants in here. And when they all come out in June, again, late June, I'm going to have my tomatoes, courgettes and nasturtiums in here as well. So I'm going for stuff that we eat a lot in the house. So there's 4 of us at home. And yeah, we have a lot of tomatoes. We've got a lot of onions. We have a lot of garlic. So I'm trying to really stick with all the stuff that we eat this year. Finally, next to my garlic bed, I've got another free bed that I've not got any plans for this year. In previous years, I've had onions in here, garlic again, leeks. So yeah, I don't really know. I'm sure I'll have a load of leftover seedlings. So again, I might just whack in and see what happens. That is the allotment plan for 2025. I'm really excited. I'm feeling a lot more hopeful this year. I've done quite a lot of work over winter trying to get in manure on the beds topping up the paths. So I'm really hoping that this year will be a lot more productive than last year. So yeah, I'm just really excited to see what the season brings.